shock claim. Couple surrounded by 10 aliens after being abducted onto UFO. A couple who claimed to have been abducted by aliens was surrounded by up to 10 non-human beings on a flying saucer. It is remarkably claimed the case of Betty and Barney Hill is one of the world's best-known alien abduction claims. And now their niece Kathleen Martin, 69, has spoken about the case for the first time in the UK. Aliens on a flying saucer swooped in to snatch the couple off Portsmouth, New Hampshire, on the 19th of September 1961. Just south of Lancashire, New Hampshire, Betty and Barney claimed to have seen a strange, oval craft hovering above them. Then, they spotted a group of humanoid beings watching them from behind a curved lighted window in the craft. Their last conscious memory was of the same creatures standing in the middle of the road, blocking their path. The next thing they knew, they were pulling up at their house in Portsmouth. More than 3 hours of their journey was unaccounted for, with neither of them able to remember the details of that night's events. Speaking at the UFO Truth magazine conference in Holmfirth, West Yorkshire, Ms. Martin claimed to have proof her relative's account is true, after since it happened when she was just 13. Now a UFO author and researcher, who has written a biography of the Hills, Ms. Martin argued the couple were credible witnesses. The Florida-based writer said, "I believe there was an abduction. When I began the investigation, I was as unbiased as I could be. I did analysis of Betty and Barney's statement when they were on the alien craft being taken and then released. My analysis is that the experience was real. The scientists who investigated the case said Betty and Barney were honest and mentally healthy. They were upstanding members of their community. I only want the truth. And I want to separate fact from fiction, because a lot of fiction has been built around what happened to Betty and Barney." Ms. Martin said her aunt and uncle actually never wished to go public with the experience, but a confidant told news reporters. She told the conference the pair described being on a disc-shaped craft with 8 to 10 individuals described as somehow not human. She said they also said the aliens had black shiny uniforms. Betty, speaking before her death in 2004, said, "I was taken on board. Barney was taken into one room and I was taken into another. The one who did the testing we call the examiner. First they put me on a stool and they checked my eyes, ears, nose, throat. They put me on a table and said they wanted to check my nervous system. Then they tried to insert a needle-like instrument in my navel which caused pain, so they stopped doing it. Barney's exam was very much like mine in the beginning, except they were interested in his bone structure." Betty also remembered a conversation with the leader in which she asked where the extraterrestrials had come from. Betty, speaking before her death in 2004, said, "I was taken on board. Barney was taken into one room and I was taken into another. The one who did the testing we call the examiner. First they put me on a stool and they checked my eyes, ears, nose, throat. They put me on a table and said they wanted to check my nervous system. Then they tried to insert a needle-like instrument in my navel which caused pain, so they stopped doing it. Barney's exam was very much like mine in the beginning, except they were interested in his bone structure." Betty also remembered a conversation with the leader in which she asked where the extraterrestrials had come from. She said, "I said I know you're not from this planet, but where are you from?" He showed me a star map indicating where he came from. Under hypnosis, Betty drew the map which consisted of 12 prominent stars connected by lines and 3 lesser ones that formed a distinctive triangle. She said she was told the stars connected by solid lines formed trade routes, whereas dashed lines were 2 less traveled stars. Scientists at the time discredited the map said to outline the exact location of where she claimed the extraterrestrials originated. Experts claimed there was no constellation similar to the drawing and that it bore no resemblance to any known formation of the time. In 2015, statistician David Saunders, who took part in research called the Canton UFO study, argued that the unusual alignment of key sun-like stars in a plane centered around Zeta Reticuli was statistically improbable to have happened by chance, from a random sketch, and that Betty was in fact telling the truth. Other puzzling evidence surrounding the claimed abduction of the time include Betty's dress being torn and covered in a strange pink powder which was later confirmed as not being of any organic origin. There were shiny concentric circles covering the boot of their car, and when a compass was placed next to them it would spin uncontrollably. Later, after the encounter, the couple began to experience terrible nightmares and suffer symptoms of severe stress. Barney became so ill, they sought medical advice. The couple were examined, and put under hypnosis by psychiatrist Dr. Benjamin Simon, who made an astonishing discovery. When Betty and Barney were regressed to the missing time and alleged moment of abduction, they were able to clearly recall all the details. Barney died of a cerebral hemorrhage on the 25th of February 1969, at age 46. Betty believed this was partially due to the terrifying experience of his alien abduction. Betty Hill died the 17th of October 2004, having spent the intervening years proving beyond a doubt that she was visited by aliens from a distant planet.